All right, welcome back. It is late night because we were waiting on some of the matches to finish, and you could all thank the Conduit Gremlins to go into a three-game series versus Omega Whoopers. But without further ado, we are finally ready to unveil the playoff brackets. And today we're going to be joined by Albino Sunbear, Boostus, GVG, and Chong. How you all doing today?
I just do want to say, in Gremlin's defense, that we tried as hard as we could to make sure the league didn't get pushed back a week by not only scheduling tonight's game to now, but also scheduling the Shadow Cows game for them because they weren't doing it themselves. So
Yeah, honestly, I remember I was like looking to see who had to play, and I didn't. I realized like the Omega. I don't think it was ever posted, so I never knew when that fucking match was. So I was just like, where when is this? So I messaged Ishan yesterday. He was like, oh yeah, it's tomorrow. I was like, oh okay, which is good and bad thing. Good thing is that I was able to do this kind of format and without people yelling at me to see where the bracket was, even though they still did. Um, in previous seasons, in a 16 team bracket, it would be set where it's like um, the first seed from a division would automatically pick the fourth seed from a specific division at the very beginning of the season. Like it didn't matter what happened. This season, I want to do something more exciting and unique. So yesterday, after the matches, when the first seeds were locked, I messaged each captain on a first seed, and they were told to rank the fourth seeds by order of who they would want to play, and then all the way down to who they don't want to play. And the first seeds that got the priority were the ones that got the most points throughout the season. Uh, and that would mean the Shadow Spire actually ended with 39 points, only had one game loss, so they got their preferred pick. Their preferred pick is going to be FBA. So they got their pick of choice. They couldn't choose anyone in their own division, so Final Boss Alpha will be playing against Shadowspire in the first round. What do y'all think about that pick? Do you think it's the best pick for them?
Yeah, you're welcome for that boostus. Us beating XG, let you guys get that first pick. Yeah, I think this is just a clear wash. If Shattered Spire doesn't 3-0, it's kind of bad on them.
Yeah, unfortunately, we couldn't pick the kittens with mittens, but this was our next best choice.
And yeah, the funny thing is, you could guess who did pick the Kins with the mittens. Monkeys got the second most points throughout the season, and they got Kins first mittens. And that leaves two matchups. And the unfortunate part for let's see, where are they? For XG or for Tilt Esports Unknown is that both their picks that they had are gone. Tilt Esports chose Kittens with Mints, Final Boss Esports, and then OEE, and they can't play Mint Gaming Mafia as they're in their own division. So Tilt Esports Unknown has the unfortunate task of defeating Optimal Esports in the first round.
interesting is interesting.
And the last pick, XG, will face off against Mint Gaming Mafia. So
So
now we
we
got
get the
the
pleasure of seeing Rat Queen Delilah going off against the new jungler for OEE. Correct?
maybe
That
it,
is
it should
that
be a
is
good
my
match.
jungler.
That's gonna be probably the most interesting match in the first round, in my opinion. I think
That
anyone would kind of expect that though.
and
What
that
do you
is
guys
my
have to
jungler.
say for these first four? Do you guys think it's going to be clear who's going to win it, or do you see some upset potential?
And think some of these are pretty. I think some of these are pretty easy to figure out who's gonna win. I can imagine. Can imagine Monkeys and Shatter Spire are gonna be pretty clear 3-0s. I think the closest match you're gonna get is ours, Tilt versus OE Enigma. But everyone is worried about OE Enigma, but my team's fairly confident that we can beat him. My 80 carry was saying he's gonna show Civil why you should be unyeeted in the other leagues. So I think we're pretty confident we can beat OE Enigma. They had to do quite a few roster swaps to look like a half decent team for playoffs. It seems.
Yeah, I mean, the idea of playoffs is that if you want to be the best, you just got to beat the best.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
it's not like Swiss where you could just get into like the top 8 just by like beating a few uh lower teams. But there's a good thing shining or silver lining to this is where you lose to OE Enigma, you're just fine. You're just out. You just could have an early vacation. If you beat them, then your team suddenly looks like a team like that could win the entire thing.
Yeah, I would like to beat OE. We 3 of my members are the defending champs from last season, so
I do think the XG Mafia one or XG versus Mafia is actually a pretty good one as well. Um,
yeah.
Mostly because of what happened the last week of the regular season. So I know people were wondering is why they got a you know what fourth overall seed they're going to play, and here they are. But let's go through the second and third seeds where they got randomly placed. Randomly meaning that they had to at least be from the other two divisions. So starting
Right.
off with the top left, Final Boss and Shadow Spire is going to be the Freylord number 2 versus the Ionian number 3. So Elysium on Ice versus Monkey's Fever.
That's a banger series right there. Honestly,
Yeah, and the funny thing is that was going to be a series that if Conduit lost, they were going to be swapped with that spot, which would have been, I think, as interesting. And the bottom left, we have Syndicate Crash Outs versus TTM Aegon. I think that matchup right there is going to be the test for TTM, as they kind of whined in chat being like, oh, everyone's are voting against us, and they were winning. This match should prove if they're actually legit or not. I know they earned their spot in the playoffs, but this is a very difficult matchup, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think Syndicates should pretty handedly win that. I would be surprised if they drop a game in that series.
And on the top right, going into against Tilt and OEE, we got AK Hearts at Demacia number 2 versus the Noxus 3, which is TFF Aftershock.
let's go. That's exactly what I wanted. All right,
You wanted to be in the side?
yeah, no. I wanted to play AK Hearts. I think either side is actually bad. I think
Yeah.
this is like when we beat AK Hearts, it's gonna be crap whoever we play between Tilt and OEE. But like, yeah, AK Hearts, I'm not scared of.
And then for the last one, we have, where is it? So the Ionia 2 versus Demacia 3 is Conduit Gremlins versus the Spire Cats.
Interesting. I actually don't know any of these players, so I don't really know what to think of this matchup off the top of my head.
Do you think you guys beat them how you guys played today?
Today?
Yeah. Like if you brought that quality of your gameplay
Um,
next week, do you win?
it would be it'd be a close series, but yeah, we drop a game to just about everyone we play. Um, and I think we'd probably keep that spirit up here against Shout Out Spirecats if we brought today's efforts to that. I did my best to kind of tilt my team this week, making sure that it was a actual test of our communication, and it may have backfired on me, but we'll see. Looking forward to this match. I like being on the same side as
Yeah.
Mint and XG. I like seeing OEE on my side. I like seeing TFF on my side, and Tilt and AK Hearts. All of these teams are teams that I think have chances to get out of the first round. Surprisingly,
Yeah.
if you caught me on the Otter Talk before the games yesterday, I said nice things about all these teams except for OEE.
I think
for obvious reasons.
there's a chance that this season there could be a ton of upsets that you couldn't imagine. A lot of people look at two other groups and like, oh, they're weak, but then they get caught off guard. Um, and with 16 teams in a playoff, there's a high chance of that happening. The first stream match for playoffs is going to be Tilt Esports versus OE Enigma because that is going to be a very good matchup. If it falls through and they reschedule, it's going to be Elysium versus Monkeys. But that's going to be it today. Do you guys have any closing thoughts?
Yeah, particularly about that matchup. You took the team who had the closest division, but still finished first in Tilt, and you gave them the opponent they didn't want. How do you feel about doing that to them? They had
I
a
mean,
more
I don't
difficult
think I
season
don't
than
think
all other
anyone
first
really
seeds.
wanted that opponent. Let's be honest.
Yes, but on the opposite side of the spectrum is Shattered Spire had what is arguably the easiest season, and then you gave them their preferred choice of fourth seed. So they got easy season, easy first round. So how do you feel about that?
It's possible that they lose. It's possible they win. But it's either that or let's see. Actually, let's see who they would actually have played. So if let's see, it would have been so if it was set 1-4, 1-4, I believe it would be XG versus OE Enigma from the very beginning of the season, which they did their best to try to throw. Didn't work, but no matter what, it's like either it's just gonna be a coin flip or it's gonna be rewarded of not dropping games throughout the season, and they could either prove that they were a very good team or they don't. So
Any comments on the
like
other half of the
Conduit
bracket?
Gremlins, Conduit Gremlins was thought about as being like a pretty piss poor team at the beginning of the season, but they showed up.
Yeah, some of that is just teams not expecting us early and not taking us seriously with those Nasus blind mids for some reason, and just punished it really easily. And then some of it is just allowing us to ramp up over the course of the season. But what about the other side of the bracket? I talked about my side.
The other side of the bracket, let's see.
Yeah.
So Elysium Monkeys is gonna be good. I think the Syndicate TTM, I think that has a small chance of an upset. The reason why is I think TTM always has a chip in their shoulder where everyone keeps doubting them, and I think it's giving them kind of a buff.
TTM has
But the minute that
actually
someone's
taken games off Gremlins and Scrims, whereas
yeah,
Syndicate
so
has never been able to find it in their schedule to face us. So I don't know how good they are.
they're I would say Syndicate is probably a top 8, 7 team, 6, one of them. They're definitely in the top half. And I'm not saying that because they're a number 2 seed. I'm saying that just by just their strength. TTM, I would say from what I think is that their peak is that they could be at top like I think their peak is top 10. So I do think it's going to be somewhat close. I don't think it's going to be a 3-0 unless one of them just mental booms.
And the first round's best of 5, right?
Yeah, every round's best of 5.
I think it's interesting to call out the fact that Fever has a lot of players that don't have very deep champion pools.
Yeah,
Once they burn through a couple things, it is a bit spooky for them late in that thing. But can you
that's
remind
going to
us,
be an
game
interesting
4,
spot.
there's interesting
So
fearless concepts,
yeah,
right?
so in game 5 or in a best of 5 series, game 4, you have only their first 3 bans in the series. Game 5, there's no bans. So if there goes to game 5, no bans for either team. They pretty much play. Like let's say if you ban someone's one trick, and it keeps getting banned until game 5, that one trick might be available unless you pick it away.
But all the champions that were picked games 1 through 4 are still locked out.
They're locked, yeah. So
What?
either you have a deep champ pool or able to practice, or you're just like kind of cooked.
Yeah. So my question, I think Fearless format, the team that I question the most is Fever right now. We felt a substantial difference between their game 1 champions and their game 3 champions. What
Talking
does
about
that
like
look at game 4 and game 5? Yeah.
so you're saying like you think that they're gonna keep getting weaker throughout the series because
Yeah,
they're on champions that it's very
exactly.
much possible. And
Are there
there's an
any other
idea of
teams here people think might be in that same boat?
Yeah.
Not sure.
Probably Kittens with Mittens, honestly. I don't know. Just looking at their group and like just like what they played all season, they're not really showing much depth. It's
What about
kind
your
of
group? You played all these teams, right? Anyone that seemed like they didn't have a giant pool when you played them?
I mean, XG kind of fell off in the series after like game 1. If Spoobert doesn't get Udyr, he's kind of piss poor. Um, but like looking at like other teams, like I'm sorry, but like Spire got the easiest 4th seed in the world. Like they just I don't know. We lost to that team because we played them down our normal top laner and like day after patch, so it was just like bad all around. But like, yeah, they're easy. Looking at other teams from our group, like Syndicates, Champool is okay. Zooey's Yone is really good if you want to like look for something to target there. Um, I'm not gonna talk too much on them because then I'll just start shit with Spuds. But
Hmm.
I think like the teams that are scary in like a BO5 Fearless is like Tilt, OEE, Monkeys, Reformed, because like those
so
players play so many champions.
I have actually a different thought about OEE, and this came up for the earlier part of the season of OEE when they were just doing very, very bad. The mid laner Sean, his
Now
champ
top.
pool actually falls off pretty, or top, sorry. Uh,
He moved
his
top.
champ
Yeah.
pool actually falls off. Yeah,
Yeah. Sean is a well-known Mordekaiser one trick.
yeah, yeah. So like his champ pool falls off very hard, and that's where like their season kind of went kind of awkward. And then they made some adjustments, but I don't think that I think later in the series against OEE it might just get easier and easier. That's just me.
Yeah, I think speaking for my team at least, we've played not the craziest amount of things just because like if you win with what's working, why show anything else you can play? But we have pretty large champion pools, so I'm not really worried about playing game 5 and Fearless if we ever get to that point personally. But I know some of these teams are really going to struggle past games 2 and 3, especially if you target out one player.
Yeah,
But
if they make
I
it
think
past game 3.
Yeah, if
yeah, I think
TFF we get to game 5, we're screwed. We found out Kiora only plays like 4 champs the other night, so we're kind
isn't
of
he
we're kind of gonna get
isn't
screwed on game 5.
isn't he the guy that one tricked Seraphine to D2 or
Yeah, bro,
something?
dude, it's great. We'll get to game 5, and Seraphine will finally be open to get picked away. It's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, we just have to survive to game 5, and surely we can win.
Yeah.
Oh
I
god.
mean, honestly, like you have time to pick up something, who knows?
Yeah, surely we can learn to play Sivir by that time. The
And
champ's not hard.
Kiora start playing Cogmog, little bro.
Hey, he can make
Oh
good use
no.
of his passive.
Just start picking out some random stuff. It's like going, oh, is this
We can do a
Karthus?
game 5 where we spin a wheel and whatever lands on someone on the team's playing it.
Bully is a question for you. Teams that have
Yeah.
subs, can they
Yeah.
run someone with a small pool for 3 games, and when that pool is exhausted, pull on a sub?
Technically, but they are gonna be in a very interesting spot where what if that player, if they lose first couple, then they're just taking that risk.
That's some coward mentality. We can't be doing
Yeah.
that. Come on.
I don't think they will, for the most part. Like, uh, in my opinion, it's kind of sucks with to sub somebody out just because you're afraid of fearless.
Yeah.
Uh, so if you're a player, it's like no, just let me play. It's just like we earned this spot here, so you either win together or lose together. If they have to sub because they're not going to be here, then that's a different story. But if they're subbing because like they're trying to like outplay their opponents, but like it's like, okay, well, you're playing someone that you don't deem worthy as your starter to play. And if you lose, then you're just on the back foot immediately.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I think is really exciting is that outside of maybe two of the matchups, I think they all could go the distance, which is pretty cool for the first round.
What's their two matchups?
I would say ours, the Shattered Spire, and Reformed. I think those will be pretty easy.
Yeah.
Everyone else, I think, can go either way, to be honest.
I think there's gonna be a mistake that's made when draft prepping, is that teams that get their picks, they're gonna blow all their picks on their first game, and then they don't have like some of their best picks for other games. A lot of things you could learn from best like fearless like best out of fives is that sometimes not clumping all your best picks into one game is the best move, because then you're able to kind of extend it between 2 or 3 games or 4 games depending on which.
Yeah. Hopefully the teams won't be one pump chumps. That'd be very unfortunate.
You give them the 5 best picks, they don't have any more, and they're just like, what do we do now?
It's like, yeah, we lasted really well in one round, but that's all we got in the tank. We don't got anything left.
Yeah.
Just wait
Well,
till support players start busting out like Zach and shit like that, because they're gonna have no champs left to play in Game 5.
I'm waiting for the game 380 carry meta of ban 1080 carries on both sides, and we're whipping out Brand and fucking
Yeah,
things but like that.
I think the
I
first
wonder.
team to pick a Yumi and Fearless wins the series, honestly.
I
That's
agree.
that's what we're gonna get to. It's gonna just be desperation mode for teams, just picking anything.
There is going to be also the idea is like the later you get into the series, counter picking is going to be almost out of the question, because like if you get to game 3 or game 4 actually, let's say a team could actually just use all 3 bans on like someone's mid pool, and they're like, oh no, kind of thing. Or actually it would be mostly game 3, but it just can deplete someone's entire pool, and then they are forced to pick early on, or they have to pick early on to make sure they get on a champion they're actually comfortable with.
Yeah, it's fine. There's plenty of simple champions. The people who don't play champions can play. Like, doesn't take a lot of brain power for a mid laner to pick Malphite.
It's Annie time.
God,
I want to see
don't
picks
tempt
like
me.
that. Like I
Don't
want to
tempt
see
me.
I want to see left field picks that can throw off an entire game because you don't expect it to happen.
Yeah,
Which
Gremlins just lost to APC Vex today.
you guys almost lost to on hit AD Kennen top lane.
That's the I think I think that was a content piece last season where my AD carry and captain at the time KTL would pick me nothing but Annie and Lissandra with point and click stuns because he wanted me to be a little dog in games. It was
hey
great.
Chong,
That's me.
do you win against AK Hearts?
Yeah.
Who's the MVP?
Fine.
Kiora, he'll bust out a 4th champion and we'll be fine.
You're not getting to game 5.
Nah, we don't need game 5. If we go to game 4, I'm gonna be sad.
We either win by game 4 or lose in game 5. It's not happening anymore after
Yeah,
that.
because by game 5, Kiora's gonna have no goddamn champions, and we're gonna be screwed.
Game
I'm telling
fives will
you.
be
We're gonna be
pretty
playing.
fun to
We're gonna be
watch.
playing attack speed on hit cannon bot lane at that point.
I'm telling you, just pick a Malphite. You can always be useful.
Pick him Tom Kench and I'll play something.
Tom Kench is tough. You have to hit a skill shot.
Nah, he just has to press R. That's all
Well,
I
he
need
used
him
to
to
play a
do.
lot of Ezreal, so
Yeah,
Okay, there you go.
that already got leaked. People already know to ban it.
oh well, it's over.
Leaking strats early.
Yeah.
I just remember playing again. I don't think I actually played against him, but I always he would play Ezreal, farm for the first 40 minutes of the game, and then join the team fight.
Yeah, we don't let him farm.
Classic.
We don't let him farm at TFF anymore. He's very deprived this season.
But I think it's pretty late, so we could call it there. Thank you all for joining us. It's gonna be
Thank
an
you.
interesting playoffs, in my opinion. I hope we get to see a lot of game fives like throughout the entire bracket.
Hopefully.
Because those be fun to watch.
Hey, can we get a game 5 blind pick on both sides?
It almost is like a blind pick. It's just basically tournament draft, but like you don't have 40 champions.
Yeah.
I think every game 5 should just be Ultimate Bravery, and all champions are enabled again. But you have to
That would
Ultimate
be
Bravery.
Ultimate Bravery, all champions enabled.
That's what you should do in the off season, Bull. You should just run an Ultimate Bravery tournament.
Yeah,
The Ultimate Bravery
my
is
on
actually
hit
very
me.
fun. I
My on
enjoy
hit
it
me go
thoroughly.
crazy.
But anyway, we'll call it there. Thank you all for joining us, and we'll catch you next week for Emerald. Tomorrow we have the last week of Gold, and we have another week of Diamond. So tune in, watch, do whatever. Have the great rest of your Wednesday, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you very much.
Peace.
Thank you.